Okay, so happy snow day, happy back to school day for anybody that has meaning for. And yeah, my name's Kathy. For those of you that I may not have met or seen for a while, and this is an all levels flow yoga class. Um, you don't have to have anything, but this morning, what I've got, I'll just show you. Really, a towel or a thin blanket. I wanted to start in a posture where it's to be very small, but just to roll it up or do a flat roll. It's going to be like a very little shelf, and you may not you may have to adjust it once you get to try to lie down on it, but it's going to basically come right behind the shoulder blades here. It's maybe starting where the heart rate monitor bra line area is. So towards the head of the mat. And when you do come to lie down over top of it in a moment, then it shouldn't feel like your head is hanging back. So if it needs to be something smaller, and so you can just sort that out. If you don't have anything, that's okay too. So yeah, maybe you're just really buzzing on all the chocolates and flowers and romance of the weekend. If that's something that was there for you, nice. Um, and if not, then maybe there's some other things, maybe some grief, some sadness, not being able to see family, or just more of the same old with family. So it's all welcome here in this class. We're the theme to just befriend the body and have some good manners towards it, which really just involves giving it some attention. I have a bell that I will ring to once you get settled, just to as a way to indicate that we're changing gears and starting into this practice and focusing on sensations in the body. So first of all, to get into that shape so that it's a supported fish or heart opening pose. We're going to do lots of extension and front body opening today to counter the effects of trying to keep warm, being in the huddle, or just self-protection. Your arms can be wide and away from your body, or a cactus shape, or you could even have your hands behind the back of your head, cradling your occipital ridge there, so the elbows are a little wide and you're spreading yourself out, almost like you're just coming onto the beach in a shape of ease. Your legs can be long with the feet flopping away from each other, or if this is difficult for the lower back, then definitely bending the knees and having them just fall into touch. And if you don't have something under the shoulders, that's okay. Just do your best to settle and ground and feel a little bit of a lift through the front of the chest as we begin here. And when I do ring the bell, you can just let your attention rest on the vibration or the sound just for as long as that does hold your attention. Here we go. Beginning to tune into the felt sense of your body landing, the weight of your upper back across that support or the ground. The length of the legs, where the skull is landing. Maybe there's a feeling of hands behind the head, or just the head is maybe a little bit lopsided. Nothing needs to change here. We're just tuning into the felt sense of arriving. sensations in the body, including breath, the diaphragm, the lungs or the ribs expanding. On the inhale and then softening, releasing on the exhale. Scanning through the body with the mind's eye, noticing where there might be some gripping in the toes, the hands, or the face, the jaw. You can take the tongue and give it a poke to one side of the mouth and then over to the other side. You could just do that a few times. So sticking your tongue to one side of your mouth that nobody's watching. So just this kind of funny face. This will help to actually release the tongue that can get stuck at the bottom of the mouth. And also free up the breathing. There's a diaphragm actually up in the throat area. So just a couple of times there. You roll the tongue towards the back of the throat now. Just like you're sweeping across the roof of the mouth towards the back of the throat. Doesn't go very far. And then stick the tongue way out of the mouth. And then roll it again to the back of the throat. And then stick the tongue way out of the mouth. And do that a couple more times. A little bit of work for that muscle. Good, and then let's do one more thing here. Let's just roll the tongue across the top of the teeth. Top teeth, the front of the top teeth, and then all the way around the front of the bottom teeth. So just do a circle with the tongue. I can't talk while I'm doing that. A couple of times going in one direction. And then a couple of times going in the other direction around the front of the teeth. Top and bottom. And then try doing the same thing, only do the inside of the teeth, top and bottom. Doing a circle in one direction and a circle in another direction. Good, and then just take a big wide open stretch with the jaw. And then squeeze all the muscles of your face to center. Clench your hands and your fists as well. So feel everything tighten up. So if your hands are behind your head, just release them and make fists there. Squeeze, squeeze everything. Contract the belly a little bit. Try to take a breath in. It's not easy when we're in this kind of familiar shape. And let it go. Just let everything soften again and notice how the breath is feeling now just after that little bit of focus. If you have a practice of ujjayi breathing, breathing in and out through the nose and just allowing those waves of breath in your own pace to come and go. And you might engage in that now. And if you don't worry about it. Let's take a big full body stretch out. You might blink open the eyes. And then hold the hands behind the back of the skull again. Let the elbows be a little bit wide. You could bend your knees if that's better. Elbows a little bit wide and start to lift the elbows up just a little bit so they're in your peripheral vision. And we're just going to warm up like a candy cane, a C curve in the upper spine. So lengthening and tractioning out the head as you look towards your legs. Take a breath in while you're up there, not coming up too high. So if you've got that support underneath your back, it's actually going to be a little bit helpful here. As you exhale, start to lower back down equally slowly. Draw the belly in. Let the elbows and the backs of the arms press to the floor so that the chest tries to lift a little bit up off that support if you've got it. And then exhale, chin to chest as the elbows reach wide and coming up into that C curve. Take another breath in here. Exhale to slowly lower down. Press the elbows to the floor, the backs of the arms, and floating up through the breastbone, breathing in. Exhale, knit the ribs down towards the hips to come up. Take a breath in up there. Exhale, equally slowly roll it back down. Press the backs of the arms to the floor. Let's do 2 more of these. Sending the ribs down towards the hips on the exhale, up. Pause for an inhale, maybe lift the chest a little bit higher. Exhale, roll back down and press the elbows into the floor. Good, and then take the right knee towards the left elbow. Keep your right elbow on the floor as you take that little twist and open up underneath the left arm. Bring the right leg long, left elbow down, breathe in. And then left knee towards right elbow. Press the left elbow and forearm to the floor. Stretch out, inhale. And switching over, left elbow, right knee, right elbow presses to the floor. Heart opens as the elbows press down in the center. And then switch, left elbow stays grounded, right elbow to left knee. Open up, let's do 2 more on each side. Just going at your own pace and no rush here. Just feeling the mechanics of the spine and the transverse muscle, the obliques. Back to center, relax, take a deep breath in through the nose. Exhale, let it go. Just start to roll over to one side. So you can take that blanket roll out of the way and just place it. You might use it underneath your head. If it's a nice flat pillow, so you're going to lie down on the left hip and have your knees bent. They can be a little lower, or they can be right in line with your hips. Tuck your left shoulder underneath yourself so you can come down and you're facing the left. Your palms come towards each other. Once we're there, we'll start to reach the right palm a little bit forward. And then inhale, we're just going to do a big circle with the right arm beyond the head. It doesn't have to touch the floor. And bring it open to the side. And then all the way down to the hip. Roll your head back and looking over towards the right arm, reaching a little further. The tip of the nose towards the floor. And then back again to that circle, reaching the right arm up and back. It could be bent any amount. You don't have to come all the way. Just tracing a circle with that shoulder just to free up, and maybe some shoveling's already been done today. And do one more circle in that direction. Open, inhale. And close it back. Exhale. This time, just come to a straight line. So trace your right fingertips across your left forearm. Keep the right elbow bent. Sort of a bow and arrow as you bring the fingers across the chest. And then stretch back through the right elbow. You can keep your right hand somewhere on the chest or open the arm up totally. And the arms can stay wide, or your left hand can come to your right thigh just to give a bit of an encouragement there. And so befriending the body, giving some attention to what's here right now, just for the count of 3. You don't have to breathe in that rhythm, but just to give some time frame around this. That's 1, 2, and 3. Let's come all the way back to face the left side. Reach one more time with the right arm. Good, and then come on to the back. So just switching over to the other side. I'll just flip around here. You don't have to have a pillow for your head, only if that flat line works. So the spine is a little more neutral. So the knees are starting to go to the right. And then your palms start to meet, tucking the right shoulder underneath. Pressing the left palm and the right palm towards each other. Then reaching a little extra with the left fingers, a little forward so your nose rolls towards the floor. Trace that big circle around the back of your space. Your hand may be way off the floor. It doesn't matter. It might be different on this side. So opening it up all the way down to the hip, rolling head, neck, and shoulders to come back to the start. Reach a little forward with the left fingers and then open up a big circle again. Looping that around and down towards the hip. One more time. Big circle, opening the chest, feeling where there's some tightness. And then back to beginning. Reach a little extra now with the left fingers. You're looking towards the floor. And then keep the left arm or keep the left fingers dragging across the right forearm. Left elbow bent and close to the body. Bringing the fingers across the chest, and you might just stay in that bow and arrow with the left elbow reaching away. Or stretch the entire arm out again. Tuck the right side of the scapula, a little more to the right. Maybe take the right hand to the left thigh. You can give it a little massage or just kind of smooth out the flesh down in the direction of the knee as you reach the weight of the left shoulder down, maybe looking to the left. For 3, 2, and 1. Just staying with the sensations of the diaphragm, just doing what it does. Let's come back to the start. So start to face over towards the right, bring the palms back together. Exhale, and then you can use your left hand just to press yourself up and around. The blanket or towel that you have can be there if you like for the knees. And we'll just come into a tabletop shape and move the hips a little bit, swing the hips around. Making any movements here that feel interesting for your hips. A few of the cat and cow shapes, so walking the knees in a little closer and pressing away from the palms, or you could be up on fingertips or using blocks or books if you prefer. Exhaling to find flexion, sending the weight a little back towards the heels, and then inhale, extension. The shoulders move just ahead of the wrists. Exhale, a few of these in coordination with the breath. So breathing in one direction and breathing out the other direction. Let's take it now just into a puppy pose. So the hips will stay high. The knees might need to walk back a little bit and stretch the arms way out there. Draw the belly in as you move the breastbone towards the floor. So there's a bit of a wrapping under of the upper arm bones, almost a feeling of a downward dog. The forearms may not come to the floor. The forehead can just extend forward. If it comes down, that's fine. You might wiggle the thumbs a little closer towards each other. Take the arch out of the lower back just by bringing awareness back to those deep core muscles, lifting up and in. And let's take 3 breaths there. If your forearms are on the floor, it might feel good to take prayer hands to the back of the skull and wiggle the elbows a little forward to get a little more opening under the armpits for 2. And 1. Let's curl the toes under now. Extend the arms if they were behind the head. And start to send some weight back towards the heels. Let your spine come into flexion. So press away from the palms and counter that extended child's pose with more of a rounded back. If you want a little more stretch for the feet, you can come right up there and just do a few shoulder shrugs. Any sort of movements here with the shoulders, both of them rolling, or, a couple shrugs, one at a time. Just kind of play with it, be creative. A little bit of distraction from what's going on with the feet. Let's take 2 more breaths there. It's 1 and 2. Shifting to bring the tops of the feet down now and sit back towards the heels. Again, you can keep the knees a little wide. You can keep your hands on the floor or sit right back on the heels to stretch out the tops of the ankles. If that's feeling okay, the fingertips can come behind the back and you might lift one knee a little bit. So the good manners to the body, just doing what feels good, therapeutic, makes sense. And come back to center. Let's come to the hands and knees again. Let's curl the toes under now and just hover the knees for a moment, lifting the belly up and in. Just feeling the invitation for the core muscles to be active and a little bit of puffing up behind the back of the heart. Press away from the palms, lift the hips high, keep the knees bent, separating the feet hips distance or even a little wider as you just really indulge in sticking your seat way out back there and giving your head a few shakes. Let's let the right heel drop and keep a really deep bend of the left knee. So your left heel is way lifted. You're kind of up on the ball of the left foot. Deep breath in through the nose and let it go out through the mouth, like you're fogging up a mirror. And then switch, so bend the right knee, deep bend of the right knee, maybe pressing even into the ascending colon a little bit as the left heel drops and the shoulders move way back from the ears. Take a deep breath in through the nose and exhale through the mouth. Let's come back to level it out here and shift forward to a plank pose. Let's bring the left elbow down and bring the right elbow down. Look back through the center line so you see your feet and your hips might be lifted a little bit. Try to drop them down. So this is definitely a plank pose. See what it feels like for your neck, just to look forward, and you can catch hold of your hands there. So it's more of a triangle shape underneath your face, your nose kind of somewhere in line with your thumbs. Let's tap the knees down here, breathe in, and then exhale, lower the thighs, the belly, stretch the legs out and walk the elbows a little bit forward. So this is a Sphinx pose, and we're pressing the tops of the feet to the floor. So the kneecaps are lifting. If you're feeling tenderness in the low back, just walk the elbows a little bit further forward, or just experiment with going wider with them, even taking hold of opposite elbows. See what is your optimum shape to be here for a little bit. So for sure, starting to feel compression in the lower back, just slide it forward and come down a little more. You want to be able to move the head over to the right and then through center and move the head over to the left. We're in that lizard kind of scanning the reptilian part of our brain that's always just kind of looking out for ourselves, seeing what's around, seeing where there may be things to move towards or move away from. One more time, each side. Good, come back to center and lower down. Rest your forehead on your palms. Stack your palms one over the other. Just stretch the legs back, point the toes, lift them up, take a little bit of a walk there. And then draw the belly and feel the pubic triangle nice and heavy and grounding. And then just lift the elbows a little bit. Breathe in and lift the forehead a little bit. And so we're squeezing the elbows kind of towards the ceiling, but we're not coming up too high. Keep the toes pressing to the floor and then take the arms and the elbows wide into a bit of a cactus or a wide gecko. You could bring the fingertips to the floor as well. Either way, energetically kind of pulling up and back through the elbows a little bit. So we really get into those muscles underneath the scapula, coming out of our texting and shoveling shapes. Maybe a little bit of swimming here. If you need to take a break and come down, any movements with the arms, you can come all the way back down towards the hips and go as much forward as you want. The arms can be bent or straight, just exploring with this little bit of a lift of the chest. All right, one more breath there. Squeeze elbows up. Bring the hands back to catch the forehead and then exhale, lower down. Deep breath in. Slide the hands back. Definitely a child's pose, or if you're not coming all the way back, then it can be a cat. Knees together or knees apart. We'll take 3 breaths there. Just letting it all fall away. Just use breath, sound, or sensations in body to stay present to your body. Let's come to hands and knees again now. Let's curl the toes under again and hover the knees, taking an inhale. Exhale, send the hips up and back. Downward facing dog. Just one more time, shift forward to plank, breathing in. And then we'll come to forearm plank again. So maybe the opposite elbow comes down first, if you remember which that was. You can catch the hands together, or if the wrists can stay shoulder width apart, that's fine. Looking back towards the center line and lifting belly, but keeping the hips pretty low. Look forward now for another breath in. Puffing the back of the heart. Exhale, tap the knees. Stretch the legs out again and come back into that Sphinx shape. Now let's tuck the chin towards the chest and peel the belly up and back. Hips might lift a little bit. Inhale, squeeze the shoulder blades. Exhale, peel it up and back. Lifting as much of the underside of your body as you have the strength for today. Exhale here, coming back to sort of a kneeling plank. If you can, get the thighs off the floor, or you can curl the toes under and find yourself back in that forearm plank for another breath. And then look forward, knees down if they were up. Let your chest come forward, and now bring the fingertips wide. Lift the elbows and come back into that gecko shape, and drop the left shoulder as you peek underneath the right arm. Inhale, center, and exhale, right shoulder drops, peeking left. Inhale, center, extending forward, just a little candy cane. And exhale, lower. We're going to move back through table and into another child's pose for 3, 2, and 1. Tabletop inhale. Exhale, toes curl under. Loading the hips up and back. Downward facing dog. Let's take the big toes together and reach the left leg up and back for an inhale. 3-legged dog. You can bend the right knee quite a bit here just to get that length and square the outer left hip. And then bring the left knee towards the nose and lift the left heel really high. So your hips are in a more of a downward dog shape. Look towards the hands now. Shift the shoulders over the wrists and step the left foot up. Really stretch out through the right heel. You can bring blocks if you like to use those underneath your hands. Stretching back through the right heel and then tapping the right knee down. Exhale. Stretch out again. So we're trying to open up the hip flexor psoas on the right side, front of the right hip. Exhale, tap that right knee down. Stretch out one more time. Inhale. And exhale, tap it down. Take another breath here in the lunge. You can keep your back toes curled under, or you can bring the top of the back foot down. If you're doing that, then pull energetically forward with the top of the back foot. Let's take the left hip crease back and fold over the left leg. Shift forward on an inhale. Exhale, take it back. You can play with the left foot. You can keep the toes pointed or flex as you come back. Do one more round through that. Inhale. And exhale. Low lunge, curl the back toes under, press some weight into the palms, and we'll just step right back, downward facing dog. Downward facing dog or child's pose for 3 breaths. So mix it up, interchange, feel what's moving through left side, right side. Anchor back to sensations in the body. We'll bring the big toes together and extend out through the right leg. Hug the left inner thigh to center, maybe bend the left knee so you can really reach that right leg back and square the hips. Right knee towards the nose, shifting forward a little bit, but keeping the bum up a bit and heel really to the bum. So get all of that core lift first, and then look forward, shift the weight forward, breathe in, and step the right foot up. Drag it up, help it get up there. Stretch back through the left heel. Just getting that length through the left hip flexor psoas now. Left heel reaches away from the breastbone. Tap the left knee down, exhale. And then without lifting the hips too much, straighten out that left leg. Just tap the knee down lightly. And then press out through that heel to find some length in the quad. One more time, tap it down. Let's keep it down now and come into a little bit more of that shoulder opening feeling. Breathing in, and then start to take the right hip crease back. Whew. Roll through a couple of these rocking lunges, breathing in and breathing out to come back. Inhale, just the rhythm of your own breath, and exhale. Shift back through to the lunge, breathing in and curl the back toes under again. Press into palms, or my wrists are getting a little tender, so I'm going to use fists to lean forward. And then press up and back, downward dog or child's pose. Dolphin pose is another option with the elbows on the floor, the hands clasped, elbows under the shoulders, and then the hips lift from there. Maybe the knees have to stay a little more bent. So it's a little more work in the upper back. Nice break for the wrists. Let's come high on the tiptoes now. And slowly walk the feet up towards the front. So really take your time. Feel all the things that need to happen. The core lift, maybe the knees need to bend quite a bit. And then just fold over the legs. Hamstrings are still just warming up. So taking opposite elbows or dangling the arms, shifting the weight forward and back so you feel centered over your feet and your arches. I'm warming up. One more breath there. Slowly roll it up. Reach the arms up. As you come up there, take the left wrist and take it up and over to the right. Inhale, center switch, take the right wrist, take it up and over towards the left. Come through center, take your hands to the back of your skull. Start to squeeze the elbows a little bit closer together. Oops. Losing my balance here. Lifting the elbows up a little bit like when we were on our hands and knees. Take a little softness around the knees. Let the tailbone be heavy. Stretch the eyes up towards the ceiling. And then let the head release. Keep the hands at the back of the head and just let the weight of the head move back into the hands. Release the arms and we'll roll down slowly. So chin towards the chest. Lifting the belly, drawing the ribs in. Having the feet comfortably apart on opposite sides of the train tracks. Take a breath in at the bottom. And then exhale to roll it all the way back up. Looping the shoulders up and down the back. And then we'll come into some half Sun Salutations, continuing just to breathe and move, looking up together. Exhale, fold. Lengthen halfway. And then belly to thighs, let it go. Press into the feet and ripple on up. Looking towards the hands, breathing in. And right away again, exhale the swan dive, belly to thighs. Halfway, so the spine is lengthening out, and there's a bit of that cobra sphinx shape in the shoulders. Exhale, traction down. Press the feet and inhale, come up. Adding on full Surya Namaskar A, fold over the legs. Lengthen halfway, breathe in. Exhale, bend the knees, plant the palms, step the left leg back, and then the right leg back. Plank pose to shift forward and tap the knees. And exhale to lower all the way. Stretch the legs out. Energetically draw the elbows to the ceiling and in close, and the wrists come back. Maybe the hands float up a little bit. Or you can take one of the other variations, the wider gecko or the sphinx pose with the elbows underneath the shoulders. Let's stay for an extra breath. Lower down on the exhale. Hands back beside the low ribs to press up through table. Child's pose or downward facing dog for just a count of 3. Continuing to stay close to body sensations, things that are happening in the present, regardless of all of the thoughts that are just passing through. Some friendliness towards all of that. Let's come high on the tiptoes from downward dog, breathing in and walking forward to lengthen halfway, inhale, and exhale, fold, and press into the feet, come all the way up. Inhale and exhale, trace the center line. Let's do one more of those. Inhale. Exhale, folding forward. Lengthen halfway. Bend the knees, plant palms or fists. Step the opposite leg back first. I think that was the right leg for me. Shifting forward to tap the knees. And find an exhale to lower down in one piece with the elbows narrow. Stretch the legs nice and long. Loop the shoulders. Could be any back bend. So you can go back to just being creative. I like this one with the Shalabhasana with the palms facing the ceiling and the thumbs kind of squeezing towards each other behind the seat. Exhale, release and press back through to a resting pose for 3, 2, and 1. Sorry, I see my mat was not in view there. Let's come back through downward facing dog. Travel towards the front. Lengthen halfway. Exhale, let it go. Press into the feet, come all the way up. And trace the center line and pause there. Just for a moment, just to take in the entirety of your body standing here. Good. Let's bend the knees now. If you have something on your mat, you might take that out of the way. Just going to bend the knees, roll the inner thigh muscles away from center, and start to come into Utkatasana. It doesn't matter how far the depth is of the knees, so you might be up a little bit higher, and your hands can be resting in prayer in kind of a relaxed way, or you can reach the arms forward. If you're reaching the arms forward, then roll the palms towards the ceiling. So we'll still get into that retraction of the shoulder blades in and down the back. Or you can raise the arms up a little bit more. It's all all in the window of this posture. Take another breath there. Exhale to fold over the legs. Breathe in, come up halfway. And then exhale, fold. Let's step the left foot back and pivot the back heel. So a Surya Namaskar B. With the back heel on the floor, make sure the feet are hips distance apart or on those opposite train tracks. Take your right thumb into your right hip crease and draw that area of the hip back, connecting it with the left heel. And then reach the right or left arm forward to bring it up into a warrior lunge. So if you feel really twisted in the hips, for sure you can just come high on those back toes. And see what makes sense in your body right now. Bring the right arm up as well. And let's just do a few really big kind of exploring circles out here as we stay connected with the lower body, the depth of the lunge that works for your low back. And then bring the fist behind the back. Just help the tailbone to reach towards the ground and squeeze the shoulder blades together. So we're opening up that whole front chest, lung cavity, left hip. Take another breath there. And let's reach the arms up and come high on the back toes. And then straighten both legs. So a little bit of balance. Exhale, let's bend both knees. And then straighten both legs on a relative scale. Bend both knees. Reach it up. And then exhale here. We'll bring the hands down, press out through the back heel again, and step downward facing dog. So we can take a break here or shift through a vinyasa. So coming forward to any version of plank, regular plank or forearm plank. Tap the knees down so the lowering is in one piece with integrity. One of the back bends or no back bend is fine. We'll meet in downward facing dog for 3, 2, and 1. Let's bring the big toes together again and stretch the right leg back. And this time open up the right hip and press out through the right heel. Give an extra press through the inner right palm and bend the right knee. Let the right heel head towards the left seat and keep the left inner thigh hugging to the center line for 1 more breath. Good. Straighten out the right leg again, 3-legged dog. Right knee towards the nose. So we've been here before, lifting the heel high. Looking forward, stepping up with the right foot. So we're back to that low lunge. And then so we're going to just come through a warrior 3. You can stay in this lunge if you like, or you can float the back foot a little bit. You might have a chair or blocks in front of you. That front knee can stay bent, or any other expression with the arms, woo, that is of interest today. You can fly or pray. Just try to keep the hips on a more level side. Having some compassion with the self around all of the muscles that are trying to stabilize. Take another breath wherever you are. If you can bring your hands onto something or down, then maybe bend both knees and bring the left knee towards the nose. And press through the right foot. We're almost done. Come all the way up. Lift the left knee. And exhale, lower. Just pause there to feel all of the vibrations in the body that are going. Good. 1 more breath there. Let's vibrate a little bit to shake it out. And then let's do the second side. So chair pose again. Draw the hip creases back. Kind of stick the booty out there and then find those core muscles. Connecting the low ribs down, widening in the low back. Prayer or reaching arms. And just taking another full breath in there. Exhale to fold. Lengthen up halfway, that deep breath in. Exhale here. Ground the palms on something. We'll step the right leg back. And we'll just separate the feet so they're for sure hips distance apart. Light on the hands and strong in the core. Pivot the back heel in, so your right toes are maybe 45 degrees. The left hip's going to want to swing out, so hug those glute muscles into center and anchor right heel. Use your left thumb and your left hip crease to help a little bit with that, moving that body, that part of the body away from the breastbone, and then reach the right arm forward in opposition to the right heel. Press right heel to lift up there, coming into warrior one, or come just into a lunge high on the back toes. The left arm can reach up here as well. And then let's try taking opposite elbows above the head there for a moment. Or if your shoulders are really tight, then you can just take it into hands on the hips. One more breath there. Good. Let's bring the hands to the low back now and press that area sort of down, the tailbone down, squeeze the shoulder blades together. Let's come high on the back toes if we're not already, and reach the arms up and straighten both legs. Exhale, bend both knees, take the arms into cactus. Reach up, inhale. Exhale, both knees bend, squeeze the elbows. Inhale, reach. Exhale, last one, take another breath in here. Straighten the back leg, bring the hands to the floor, press up and back, downward facing dog. Take a break here if you like, or move it through a vinyasa if you want to come through another flow plank. Lowering down through chaturanga. Stretching the legs and opening the breastbone. Meet in downward facing dog. And bring the big toes together. This time the left leg will reach back and open up that hip. So keep the leg straight to start with. Let's get into the opening first. Toes are turning out. And then try with the bending knee and letting the heel, just like a magnet on your right seat and on your left heel, coming a little closer together. Straighten that leg out again, breathing in, three-legged dog. Exhale, left knee towards the nose. Just finding the flexion in the spine and look forward. And step the left foot up so you're in a low lunge. So if you're using blocks or a high cushion or a chair or a wall that's in front of you, just working with what you have. Just going to shift the weight a little forward and see if we can keep that front knee bent and just pick up the back foot a little bit. Any version of a warrior three, or you can stay in that lunge. Hands can stay onto something, or you can do any other expression with the arms. Doesn't matter how high that back leg is lifted, try to keep the pelvis, front bones of the pelvis facing the floor. Wherever you are, take another breath. Have your hands on something if it's there for you, and bend both knees. Bring the right knee towards the nose. Lifting the arch of the left foot, and then see about coming up and finding the length and all the stabilizers, lifting the right knee. Exhale to stand down and let it percolate there for just for a moment. Feel yourself in this body with some appreciation for going along there. Let's just circle at the hips a little bit. Doing a few circles in each direction and just shaking everything. And let's just roll down again one more time. So we're coming down towards the ground. Once you get there, just come to take a seat. You might have a cushion or something. I'll just show, just to get into a little bit of the hips. So there's different ways we can do this, sort of pigeon or figure four. I'm crossing my right ankle above the left knee. You could be down on your elbows for that as well, and just work the right knee away from center. You can also be lying right down on your back for a more traditional figure four with the left knee threading the hands around the left thigh. So just see if you're staying up and then you're wiggling your bum a little closer towards your heel. You might rock the knees a little side to side from any of those shapes. So if you are sitting up, you can let the knees start to fall towards the left so that they actually come down so you're on the edge of your left foot. And then my right knee is up quite high. So a couple of things, you can take a pillow or that blanket and kind of tuck it in between if that allows the knee to kind of rest, and shift, pick your seat up so that you can shift a little bit. And this is a fire log or double pigeon pose. That might not be, if you're feeling anything in the knee, then just go back to the version on your back. Or you could straighten out the bottom leg as well and be in this a little different shape. However it is that you will give some love to this right hip and buttock area. So you can be sitting up with the hands behind the back, or you can take a little bow and just lean some weight into that right side of the seat. Let your belly soften, the physical moving muscle, the strengthening. Part of our practice is behind us this morning, so we're just slowing things down again to notice what's here. Eyes could be just gazing softly down the tip of the nose, having that neutral drishti, or eyes can even be closed for another couple breaths. Shifting to extricate from that position and stretch the legs out. If you're lying on your back, you can just take your legs up towards the ceiling and give them a shape. If you're down on the ground, then just bounce them out a little bit. So it might be different on the second side, and you could already be sitting up on something. Crossing the left ankle above the right knee, and you'll know right away if this is already ouching the low back. Or you can be down on your forearms. It's probably better not to have something underneath your seat right there. Down on the forearms or down on the back. Or in any shape, the shifting of the hips from left to right. You can even come right over to the big toe edge of your right foot, and then the baby toe edge of your right foot. Keep some action going, reaching away from the body with the left knee. And then ultimately bringing the knees all the way over towards the right. You can have your left heel come in closer. That's one option, especially if this knee is up high, then don't even think about it. You can use the pillow or blanket between. If you're not feeling any trouble there, then you're going to have the shins more or less parallel, which is quite a lot for me. But you can bolster that up with a cushion and then lift your seat up a little bit and try to nestle into those sits bones and really grow them down. Hands can stay supporting behind or shift the weight forward so you get a little extra juice. Feel like you're drawing pulling a drawstring tighter at your hip or waistline there for a few more breaths. Let's inhale to start to unwind from the pose. Uncross the legs. If you're on your back, you can have your knees wide apart and do the windshield, or you can sit and do that as well. Pressing down through that front shin and then coming up and over to the other side. And just doing a couple of those front body, hip, right side lifts and then left side lifts. If you're starting to cool down and feeling chilly at all, then maybe socks back on, a blanket over top of yourself. Coming down to take one good hug. So hug the thighs, hands can be underneath the thighs or on tops of the shins, and let the tailbone lengthen out. Maybe a few circles or just rocks here. And then the knees can stay bent and relaxed, the feet a little wide with the knees touching, or the legs can extend long. Tucking one shoulder blade underneath yourself and then the other as the eyes drape here, and we come to rest for a couple of minutes. Such an important part of the practice, a couple of minutes to integrate, to rest and digest. So I'll ring the bell just to take us in, and I'll be quiet, and then I'll ring it to bring us out to close. As you rest, just see where the mind is at. It's okay, whatever it is. Stay with yourself, with what's here, what's present, with sensations of breath, diaphragm, tuning into some sounds that are perhaps in your space or even beyond. You hear the sounds on the street. In a moment, you'll hear the sound of the bell. If you wish to just continue to rest, if you have the time or inclination, that's good too. If you're ready to close your practice, some movements through the fingers and toes, rolling through the jaw, just seeing where the tongue is in the mouth, if it's stuck to the top or bottom, or just kind of hovering there in the middle, a little more floating up. Make your way over to one side and pause there and really give yourself an intentional thank you. Thanks to the body and all its parts for all that they do automatically, but that we can also be supportive and directive with for optimum. If you're sitting, then hands can be at the heart or resting in the lap and nodding the chin to just open up to the fact that we are practicing together. This is a community. those of us that are here this morning, those of us that may be tuning in later, and may the benefits of our movement and breath this morning in some way also open up opportunities and space for our interactions for the rest of this day. Namaste. I'll just turn off the recording and